It's the last time we met. Okay. Today is August the 3rd. 6:37 p.m. And I will call to order the Carson Environmental Commission. Please call to order. Next item would be roll call.
Okay. So Commissioner Angela Isaiah Payne. Commissioner Freeman Watkins. Commissioner Hurry Taylor.
Present.
Commissioner Lillian Hobson.
Present.
Commissioner Nadine Gillis Ward. Commissioner William Coons.
Here, present.
Commissioner Roy Love.
Here.
Commissioner Brianna Fontano.
Present.
And I have alternate Christina Tresvant here and alternate Celia Valapondo.
Here.
Okay, 2, 4, 6 present and 4 absences.
Thank you very much. Next item number 3 would be pledge of allegiance. Anybody want to volunteer to lead?
I will.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Shall we place our right hand on our heart? Begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of
of
the
the
United
United States of America
Okay.
and
and to the republic for which it
It
stands,
stands
one
One
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner House. Next item, introductions and presentations. We have a presentation this evening from the California Air Resources Board regarding idling signs. I guess the city has planned on partnering with the California Air Resources Board to install truck idling signs in the city. They're additionally supposed to collaborate on a grant to, I guess the signs are free, is my understanding. The signs are already prepared. However, the installation and survey and any incidental cost would be certainly be assisted by this grant. Is our presenter present?
Yes, hi, my name is Warren Hawkins, California Air Resources Board.
Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you. Taylor, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Do I have the ability to share a screen so I can put up a presentation real quick?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and give that a shot here. Okay, can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, great, thank you. Like I said, my name is Warren Hawkins. I am with the California Air Resources Board Enforcement Division, Community Outreach and Enforcement Section. The Community Outreach and Enforcement Section at CARB, we are responsible for coordinating our enforcement activities in environmental justice communities, including Assembly Bill 617 communities, which Carson happens to be part of with the surrounding areas in that region. And with that also, we also run the Supplemental Environmental Projects Program out of our group. So whenever a settlement of an air violation that CARB is responsible for, we have the opportunity to put a portion of those penalties towards a project. I know I have in support here with me today, Ms. Robina Sewall of California Safe Schools, and she's a recipient of one of those steps in the past. So let me go ahead and jump into the no idling signs and we'll get through the presentation as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. So as you can see, the community, the Wilmington, Carson, and West Long Beach community has a community emission reductions plans that was developed in conjunction and coordination with the California Air Resources Board, the local air quality management district, and community members in the area, the local community steering committee. And part of that, there is an emission reductions plan that was written. And that emission reductions plan identifies priorities for the community for emissions reductions and exposures and some monitoring. One of the actions that was proposed by the steering committee in the emission reductions plan was the placement of no idling signs throughout the community. As you can see on the slide here, the top portion is just a snapshot of the emissions reductions plans. And you can see a couple of the different signs that CARB has available to provide to communities. The first one in the middle, the big one with the X over the heavy duty trucks, that one's designed to deter idling of heavy duty diesel vehicles in areas where you don't want them to be. That sign is approved by the Department of Transportation, and several years ago, the Air Resources Board went through a process to design and have those built to specification. Those are based on roadways, on supporting structures like lamp posts or other signposts. The bottom that you see here with the little children crossing the street in the plume, those are intended to be placed on like fence lines at schools. They're a much smaller sign. They're not as descriptive as the no idling sign for heavy duty trucks. CARB, we have printed off multiple signs in the past, and we do have in our warehouse a number of both of the types of no idling signs that we can provide to community groups or the city of Carson if you're interested in pursuing to put them up. There is a general process for distribution of no idling signs. Like I said, we have some on location in our warehouse in Sacramento, and we're able to move those and ship those around the state. The community would ID locations of no idling signs based on the limitations of the truck idling rule and the school bus rule, and I'll go into the idling rule in just a minute. You would send a request to, in this case, it would be Crystal Rule Chen. She's listed on the front slide as a contact information. She's the lead for this community. She happens to be on vacation. Good for her, and I'm stepping in for her. We do have signs that we have in the warehouse, but because of the demand for them, we don't have an unlimited amount of signs. So we do have signs to get started and a number of signs, to get you headed in the right direction and put up a bunch of signs. But we also can provide, if the city wanted to continue to produce signs on their own, we do have the approved signing, everything that's needed in order to make the sign, the anti-graffiti, all the specifications for it that we can provide. And then we would also be responsible, we could get the signs to the city itself, whether we deliver them in person because we do have folks in Southern California, or we can ship them to the city for installation. The signs are not needed to enforce the idling rule. The idling rule is a statewide rule that's intended to reduce the exposure and the emissions from idling trucks. The signs are a reminder to truck drivers that there are restrictions to idling. So it's important that they be placed in areas that truck drivers will be able to see and abide by them. The rule actually does have in it, written into it, authorities for who can enforce. So California Air Resources Board and its designees, so our field staff or our investigators, they have the ability to write tickets for illegally idling vehicles or heavy duty trucks. The local air pollution control districts like South Coast Air Quality Management District or air pollution control districts like San Joaquin Valley, they have the ability to enforce the rule. And also local law enforcement, like police departments, have the ability to enforce the rule. If a municipality wanted to extend the authority to enforce the rule to people other than those groups that are listed in the rule, then they would need to adopt a local ordinance designating that authority to them. And we do have investigators and inspectors that would be willing and capable to come out and do some instruction on how to enforce the rule if that was a request of the city of Carson. I mentioned the rule briefly. What it does is the rule limits idling statewide to no more than 5 minutes, period. However, there are certain caveats to that rule. One of them being if it's a clean idle certified truck, then they can idle longer than 5 minutes in the state. However, those trucks also have restrictions as well, and they cannot idle within 100 feet of a sensitive receptor, which would be like a hospital, a school, homes, childcare facilities, and the like. There is also some other provisions in there for like using the use of power takeoffs, which is a device that would power like an auxiliary unit on the vehicle, or if they're in traffic, and a couple others. And also, in addition to reducing emissions, idling also saves money because fuel is expensive, and idling costs money. And so a similar type process went through in the city of Wilmington and the city of Los Angeles, and a total of 106 no idling signs were posted. I mentioned Robina earlier. 50 of those signs were posted at locations identified by California Safe Schools. 39 of the signs were located and placed in locations that were identified by the Community Steering Committee. And then 57 additional locations were located by the city. One thing I'd like to point out also too is about the signs is when you would make a request for signage from us, we'd also like a letter of support from an authorized body that would be willing, that would vouch for that. Let's say Public Works would be putting up the signs of that nature. So signs, because we have a demand for the signs, so we want to make sure that they are posted in a timely manner. So for that is my quick update and presentation on no idling signs, and I'm here for questions. And if there aren't any, then I will turn the meeting back over to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Who would like to be the first to be having the questions for Mr. Hawkins?
I did hear that there's a limited amount of signs available. So could you tell me approximately how many signs you would have for Carson?
It's hard to, it's going to sound like a bad answer, but what I would prefer to do would be to identify locations and then make sure that that locations meet really the parameters of what the no idling rule is, and then we can go from there. It's hard because we're balancing multiple communities. I think right now we've got a fair number in stock, but I can't guarantee you 150 signs. Of that, I'd have to go back and look at the stock and see what our commitments are, and then I can get back to you guys with a more definitive answer in the next week or so. I can pass it through the contact that helped set up the meeting for me here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Commissioner Roy.
Well, I'm just thinking, seems to me the first thing we'd have to do is identify the locations where we'd like to have the signs are placed. And based upon that, I think then we can begin to come up with the number of signs that we may need. I'm more interested in the name of the lady who we should contact first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Her contact information. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So
yeah, Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal Rolchin.
I see, Crystal. But it certainly is something that we think can help us, and perhaps we need to get on there as quickly as possible. But the main thing is just find out the location that we would like. And it looks like you have a number of them though that are at the school location. I presume you may have gotten a request from someone like the LA Unified School District for their schools. Do you know?
We worked well. Robina, who's on the call, I don't know if Ravina has the ability to jump in and add a little bit more context, but with her, she had a supplemental environmental project that started with us years ago. I want to say back in 2017 or 18, where she installed no idling signs. And then from there, it grew legs, and city got involved and put the signs up. So yeah, it was a joint effort, and we had a group of people that were working on it, not just CARB, but South Coast Air Quality Management District also played a big role in it as well.
I see. And you said that some of your signs could be with South Coast Management District, and some could be without. Is that right? Is that?
As far as we have at the Air Resources Board, we have no idling signs in stock, but we also, just for a little bit more layers to it, about 8 months ago or so, we went back to the Department of Transportation and got approval to redesign the signs a little bit. So air districts, if they chose to, could put contact information on where to report idling. And so in South Coast, there are a number of signs that has South Coast's phone number on it, but those, to this point, those signs have been provided by us.
Oh, yeah. Good to have contact, so you can have an idea of how effective these signs are in location.
Yeah, that's
all I have for now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Love Senior. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And if I can
Commissioner
just,
Oh,
There's Robina.
oh, hi, if I can just add Commissioner Love too, and any of the other commissioners. We worked really closely with Los Angeles Unified School District, and they're very interested in working with the city of Carson and the residents. They have stated in meetings that they would prefer signage that has the citation on it, so that there would be maybe more of an opportunity to enforce. But they're very open, and I'm sure they would not mind coming and speaking with you all directly as well. So thank you.
I see. They wanted a citation on it. I don't know whether they've had some experience with trying to enforce it when there was no citation. But yes, at least that's something good to know.
Commissioner Coons, any questions, sir?
Yes, well, first of all, on the size, I would like Public Works or someone, whoever in the highway department, the street engineer, to check, or whoever's doing signs, probably Public Works, to check that with CARB, make sure the sign is in conformance to our city code. And if not, then either we have to modify the city code or modify the sign. My question, so that's my first question for the Public Works Director here, I guess. The second question is, okay, this CARB is paying for the signs. Is any of the installation, the manpower, the materials being paid for or available to help the city pay for that part of the signage? Let's see, now I had a third question. Well, this is a fact, a statement. So I'm on the community steering committee for our city and for Wilmington, West Long Beach, Carson, and we have generated or AQMD has generated a map of the points that have been reported in Carson as high idling areas, and they do check it on their round. They have a mobile vehicle now that drives around checking for hotspots and idling and so forth. And when they see it, then they call the number and have enforcement come out. So if whoever's going to do the signage locations, we can get the map and the list for those in Carson from AQMD, the ones they have now. And then we can use that as a basis for whoever will do that, use that as a basis for starting up the locations. So that's about all I had.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Bill,
Oh, sorry about that.
go ahead, sir, go ahead.
Just he had a couple of questions in there, I think that were also for me.
Okay.
So as far we can provide the dimensions of the signs to you, so you can take that to your public works, and they know the height, width, and thickness, and weight, and all those types of things, so
Right.
they can determine if it meets. So we'll send that along. And then as far as the cost of the signs, like I said, we don't have an unlimited number, so I don't see indefinite supplier of signs from the Air Resources Board at this time. However, we can, we do have a good number in stock, and we'd be willing to provide a number of signs. And what that number is yet to be determined, because we still need to know the locations and all that.
How about
Thank
cost
you.
of installation?
And the cost of installation, I do not have the ability to pay for that. However, supplemental environmental projects would be an avenue that we could work with you on to build a project to get funded through a settlement of CARB's rules. That's something as a potential. And then also, we know that some of the other cities have they've encumbered the cost themselves as well. So.
Thank you. Dr. Villapando, any questions?
I was just going to say, well, actually, Commissioner Coons brought up part of it. I was wondering if there was a database so that we could know if there are repeat, offenders, basically, or is the city keeping track of that, or Public Works, or
Repeat offenders of
people who have been reported for the truck idling?
Well, at least with ours, when our field reps write a citation, then they have to actually go through and remedy the citation. So yeah, we have information on that. We just don't have a public facing database with that currently. But yeah, we do have information on who we've cited in the past. And they could be liable up to $1,000 per action for those.
And then maybe just to follow up on that, is there any effort, I don't know who would do it, but is there any type of outreach to trucking companies to, I imagine they would already be aware of this, but
yeah, yes, there is. And when our field representatives are out in the field, they always carry flyers with them that they hand out for informational purposes. The idling rule is not new, so it's been around for well over 20 years. So it's pretty well known, but we have a sister division in CARB called the Mobile Source Control Division, and they've done extensive outreach, and it's all over our web pages. They talk about it, and they do events like they're called one-stop truck shops in the past, where they talk about all the different rules, and idling being one of them. So yeah, then there's information out there, and there's been a lot of outreach. Problem with outreach, you can't get 100% of the people, but you can do your best to get as many as you can. So of course there's always people who slip through, but I think for the most part it's pretty well understood about the idling regulation out there.
Okay, then I have one last question for you. You mentioned some of the hot spots, the obvious ones, churches, schools. I'm wondering, the popular truck route, from Wilmington into Carson is on Wilmington Avenue. There are a number of places like Wilmington Avenue and Carson Street where there are churches and there are lots of restaurants. There's a lot of truck idling that goes on there. It's almost become kind of a truck stop. So I was just going to suggest that would be one spot. I didn't know if like town centers or restaurants would also be considered hot spots as well.
Yeah, yes, those are all great spots to put it. And as far as a hot spot goes, a hot spot would be, I guess, where you're identifying the locations of the illegal idling. So if those food centers are drawing folks to the heavy duty trucks to those areas to park and idle, then yeah, that sounds like a good spot that's ripe for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a couple of questions, sir. Is there any contact with the entities, warehouses, other commercial facilities that have a lot of ingress and egress of trucks?
We are just, yes, there are. We are notifying, and as part of the effort, especially in like the Del Amo community and some of the others, and it's a good one to bring up too, and we can have our field investigators do it as well. Is when they're, because we also have other groups that inspect for like refrigerant management and other things, so they're in some of those other facilities, or our field reps that do the idling enforcement could be in that region. And yeah, they do talk to the warehouses and things when they come across them, to educate them about the idling and trucks waiting in traffic, and help them come up with other ideas, like maybe staggering appointments so trucks don't have to park and wait where they have an appointment slot that they come in, or different softwares that they potentially could use for appointment tracking. And so yeah, we're at the kind of the early stages of doing that, but yes, Chairman Taylor, that's something we are expanding as we go on.
And since you mentioned that, I have a son-in-law who's been, truck driver for 20, 30, and he said that's a lot of the problem is scheduling. And there's a lack of coordination between the trucking company and the business, and drivers will go there, they'll, if they're early, late, or whatever, then they sit there and they're idle. I mean, excessively. And it works better when there's coordination between the two.
Yep.
And you know what the times are, you can get there on time, and there's no necessity for sitting outside the business 2 and 3 hours waiting to load or unload. So anyway, I just want to, last thing, you mentioned, what is a certified clean idling vehicle? I mean,
Okay.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, so there's it is okay. There's emission standards for trucks, and without going, well, I can talk about it a little bit. There's for particulate matter, there's a certain level that trucks have to stay under, and there's a NOx level. Well, the clean idle certified trucks are certified to a lower NOx standard than what the normal standard is. So they're allowed to put that they can through the factory get the clean idle sticker placed on the truck. And if I can, let me share my screen again real quick, and I'll go back to the presentation if I can find it. Okay. All right, is my screen back on?
There it is.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let me find my slide. Okay. So this on the top box here on the slide, you can see the clean idle. That is actually what it looks like. And then there, where that little black marked out area is, there'll be a serial number that's associated with that truck. So if you see this certified clean idle sticker and they're idling, let's say in the middle of the Mojave Desert, they can idle there indefinitely. But if this truck with this clean idle certified sticker is parked within 100 feet of a school or a church or a senior center or something of that nature, then, or a home, they're not allowed to idle for more than 5 minutes. They have to shut their engine off.
Oh, I mean, if you can, and this may, how many trucks in the state are certified as clean idling?
That I don't.
Small number, I'm sure.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know that on average statewide, we're running above 95% compliance in idling.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank
So
you very
I don't
much,
know if
sir.
that's, yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Does
it.
anyone have any additional questions?
A follow up on that one. What percentage of trucks have this can exceed 5 minutes in non-special areas? What percentage or what amount statewide have that sticker to allow that?
That, Mr. Coons, that's a great
Can
question.
you
And
answer
that's,
that or not?
and I think Chair Taylor was getting into that too. I don't have those numbers. I apologize. I don't know what that population is out there.
Okay.
It's probably really high, just because trucks now are significantly cleaner than they've ever been in the past.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, I have a future question, a question on a future item. We have 6 warehouses going in on the 157 acres. And I'm guessing maybe 2-3 years, we will be having 200 more trucks per day coming into that area. So what can we plan for now to, in the future, put that in place? That's my question for the future.
Like I said, oh, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. Sure.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just was going to ask for clarification on the question. Mr. Coons put what in place?
Well, the 157 acres by Faring Capital has 3 sections of it. They're erecting 6 warehouses on this. There are 3 sections. They don't have the whole acreage, but the 3 sections, they're going to put 6 warehouses. And they've gotten now approval to start the construction or
Okay.
start whatever they're going to do. Now, how in the future can we get now signs for that in the future, or should we do it then, or how can we plan for that with you guys?
Okay, I would, you have the contact information. I would recommend we probably wait until the construction, so we have a better scope of how the truck traffic is going to flow, where they're parking, what routes they're taking, and that type of thing. So we have a better educated guess of where they might be more effective, and that would be my recommendation.
Well, they're coming from the freeway on Main Street down to Del Amo and then into the 157 acres, and they're supposed to use that from the freeway to those 6 warehouses. So I would want to have it on Main and Del Amo near those 6 warehouses, because I can see them stacking up. And the other question might be too on these signs are good, but if we're queuing and the trucks are not moving and they're in a traffic lane, does the ticketing apply to that, or are they queuing? I understand queuing is an exception. So even though there's 100 trucks lined up, they still are not idling because they're queuing, which means they're waiting to get in a long line into get a chassis or a container, for example. So
Yeah,
that's my
they can do that. So that's part of the reason why we talked about a little bit ago about the outreach to the warehouses about appointment setting and those other things to try to relieve some of that stress on the roadways. Hopefully there's other avenues that we can get at the same thing, and remove the trucks from the roadway by using, 2022 technology in the warehouses. So
okay.
we'll take a look.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Sewell, do you have any additional comments?
I just want to thank you, Chairman Taylor, for the opportunity last meeting to say a few words, and for tonight hearing Mr. Hawkins do the presentation. I know you're all very dedicated to the city of Carson and just really grateful for all the work you continue to do. So thank you. And Rita, thank you too for your help in setting up the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
Yeah, I'd like to echo that too. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Very
appreciate that.
informative.
Thank you for the
All right.
presentation. Jessica or Rita, can we, just for the record, confirm that there are no public comments that have been submitted or are requested with respect to this item?
Yeah, there's no public comments. I didn't receive anything.
Okay, and we should, in order to make this a formal portion of the record, take a quick vote to simply receive and file the presentation.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to receive and file the presentation.
I'll second it.
Okay. I need a Somebody to move it first, motion?
I so move.
Okay, moved by Ms. Hobson, seconded by Mr. Love.
So I have a
Any
question.
discussion? Mr. Combs?
Okay, so in my talking with, maybe, you know, we didn't have a meeting last month. In my talking with the mayor and a few of the council, they are wanting this to come before them. And they wanted a presentation and then our recommendations to the council on this. Who's going to compile the list? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that?
Well,
Now,
can I make a
I guess,
suggestion,
so,
sir? Why don't we,
yes, let's
why don't we
make a
move and file?
recommendation.
And then make a recommendation to staff moves forward with coordinating with the interested entities, the involved entities, and move forward from there.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
eventually, the critical things are going to be selection, funding to install. So, I mean,
Okay.
I
That
think it's
sounds
going to be a
good.
process.
well, let's
Unfortunately.
make that part of the receive and file, that staff will process. If we can't make a motion, since this is not on the agenda, let's make it so that you're right, the staff can forward our comments. I don't know how exactly to do that to the council. And then when it comes up on the council, hopefully it'll be the next meeting, which is not going to be till the first of next month.
Okay.
It's my understanding next month. The second meeting in August is a vacation meeting on the council.
At this
So-
point in time, this is presented to you as a presentation. So, and there is not a recommended action other than to receive and file the presentation. I would simply recommend receiving and filing, in file the presentation to formalize the presentation, and we can move on from there.
Thank you. All right, there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
Just one thing, if I can get the presentation sent to me from Rubina or Warren, sent to me or Rita, and so we can have the presentation. So we can see it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling, Ms. Corey, can we do would you call for the vote, please?
Do we roll call vote?
Please.
Okay. So Lillian Hobson,
Yes.
Commissioner William Coons,
Aye, yes.
Commissioner Harry Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Roy Love,
Aye.
Commissioner Brianna Fontano,
Aye.
and alternate Celia Valapondo.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, Mr. Hawkins, thank you very much, sir. You and Ms. Sewell, looking forward to working with you. So
And likewise, I look forward
a
to
great program for our city, with the number of trucks we interact with. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Next item, I guess, item 5, public oral communications. Are there any?
I didn't receive any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this next item be the consent calendar, and under item 1, approval of minutes from June 1st. We'll
I
take a
move that
couple.
we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I have some corrections to
Question?
make. to the
Okay,
minutes.
please, by all means.
Yeah, on page 3, where we were talking about commissioners that were basically asking for things to be added on. I believe that Commissioner Polito mentioned one particular organization, and then I mentioned one that works in hand with them, and somehow the two names got merged. So I believe that the organization that Commissioner Polito was talking about is Communities for a Better Environment, where he asked for a presentation, I believe, from Jesse Marquez. And then I, in addition to that, mentioned that I was requesting a presentation from an organization that works with them called Physicians for Social Responsibility. And the person I mentioned for that particular organization was Martha Arguello. Somehow it got into the minutes here as Communities for Social Environment, so they combined the two.
Okay, we can correct that.
Okay, that was it. That was the
Okay,
extent of my.
thank you. Okay, we'll correct that. Anyone else? Corrections or comments about the minutes? Additions, deletions?
What we would be looking for is a motion to adopt the minutes with the
Corrections.
corrections that were mentioned by Commissioner Villapiondo.
Okay,
So
okay.
I move that
Wanna-
we accept the minutes with the said corrections.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Roy Love.
Okay, moved by Ms. Hobson, second by Mr. Love to accept the minutes with the indicated changes by Commissioner Villapando. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, next item, moving right along. Okay, item number 7, continued unfinished business. Update of the fireworks in July the 4th. I guess I'll start. Well, from what I understand, I read, I think it was in the council report, that apparently on the 4th of July, there were 123 calls for service of the Sheriff's Department regarding firework incidents. There were 70 citations issued. And I think there was unknown number of pounds, unknown weight of fireworks seized. So and I'm not sure what the weight is, but it seemed to be a good number of fireworks for illegal fireworks were seized by the Sheriff's Department. Now,
I have some
maybe,
stats for you.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so per your request, you asked me to reach out to the Sheriff's Department.
Oh,
to
great.
see
Yes, please.
we could get them to present today, but there was a community night out, so they weren't available.
Okay,
But they did share the stats with me. And so for Carson Station's firework related statistics, they
okay,
received 99 calls for firework related disturbances, 54 citations for possession of illegal fireworks, 7 citations for the sale of illegal fireworks. There was 1,000 pounds of fireworks that were confiscated, and there were no firework related injuries or fires.
okay. Excuse me, I was wrong.
So that is from the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Anybody have any other information?
And the only other update, Chair Taylor, is for on the staff report is just that, the city council did approve a new resolution amending the administrative citation fines for violations of the fireworks ordinance involving illegal fireworks at the amounts of $2,000 for the first violation, $3,000 for the second violation within 1 year from the date of the first violation, and $5,000 for each additional violation within 1 year of the date of the first violation. And then staff also included a copy of the city council staff report and the amended resolution is part of the packet today.
Okay, thank you. Question, the increase in the fines, does that go into effect immediately or is there a 30-day waiting period?
That
Go
would,
ahead, Lana.
go ahead.
No, actually, I don't know the answer.
Okay, no problem.
Immediately.
Immediately, okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments regarding fireworks? On the 4th of July, I had a very unfortunate incident in my neighborhood. There was a homicide. And apparently, of course, during the fireworks, there was a street blocked off adjacent to me. And it was not blocked off by appropriate authority, but by the people who were gathered. About 12:30, unfortunately, there was a shooting and a young man was killed on Central Avenue, just north of Helmick Avenue. So just to let you know.
One thing I wanted to mention, this is Liza J. Whitman. I just wanted to say hats off to you guys because I think this is one of the results of the commission being active and concerned I kind of call it the grassroots. So you guys actually made a difference in the city. And so I talked about this with the directors as well as with Lana's firm. And, you know, they were planning on basically saying that this came out of the Environmental Commission to increase the rates and to really help to offset or deter basically the fireworks. So I think this is an example of great work by your commission.
Thank you very much. And staff, thank you so much for what you guys did too. Certainly can't do it without you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other comment?
I just wanted to make a quick comment. No, it's okay.
Okay.
My neighborhood is usually a war zone, and I think I've expressed that before. I did notice a marked change. It wasn't as intense as it has been in the past, and I did note that a lot more people were talking about the increase in the fines, and so if nothing else, I think that information getting around, it did make a marked change. It was something of a deterrent, so I'm happy about that.
And we did put up signs throughout the city. We created signs and put them in the parks and all over just to kind of remind people or let people know that the fines had increased.
Okay. Commissioner Coons, you had your hand up. Yes, sir.
I also noticed a big improvement in my neighborhood. However, I went over by the Dignity Health Center on Avalon, across the street where the KFC is, to usually watch the post-Galaxy fireworks, which are legal. They did something that surprised me and I did not know about. They were only doing the fireworks in the stadium, so you could just barely see the edge of the fireworks south of the stadium, and it was much higher in the air. So I don't know if that contributed there, but in that neighborhood where I was, where people were lighting off more than I had seen before of the illegal fireworks. And that was within seeing distance of the stadium. So they had a bigger show in that area than the stadium had from where I was sitting. So certain areas, like I said, there by the KFC, maybe we could somehow inform the sheriff they should be looking there next year. Maybe just some of them did get citations. I do not know. But
also, I
there
guess
is still one or two areas
yeah.
that I think need looked at. Thank you.
We also need to, commend the sheriff's department, because from people I talked to, it seemed like they were more visible this year, especially on the 4th of July. And I don't know if these stats are inclusive of a couple of days before or not, but their visibility, I think, helped in what they did in terms of their responding to these calls and issuing citations. I think that helped greatly. So, anyone else, any comments? Thank you. All right. Next item. Item 8, new business, update on the trees.
So can I share my screen?
Please.
So, okay, I wanted to go over where we are as it relates to the tree activities that are going on in Public Works. This is, as of today, there are 3 primary areas throughout the city where the tree crews maintain trimming, etc. for the trees. We have residential, we have the arterials, and we have the medians. The medians, usually we contract out to help because there's so much work in the medians, but then also for some of the residential and arterials, we also contract out some of that work. Although we do have a staff that we have here in maintenance, and we are going to be adding I believe it's 3 more people to the tree crew. In the city of Carson, there are over 18,000 trees, but what I understand is in the 2000s, there were around 24,000. So we've lost about 6,000 trees or so. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, but we do have a plan to add some more. And I'll go through that in a minute. Currently, our goal is really just to only take down unhealthy trees. We often get our requests to take down trees because somebody just doesn't like the tree or for various reasons. But we have been given direction to only take down unhealthy trees. And when we do take down unhealthy trees, we replace them with a new tree and work with the resident or the location to make sure it's a tree of somebody's preference. So we do know that the trees improve the air quality and health by cooling the streets up to 10 degrees. There have been numerous studies throughout, and I think we had an article when we first began this commission that talked about some of the trees and the differences where locations are with trees and locations where there's not trees. But as we move forward in our tree planting program, we're going to be basing them on characteristics such as canopy for the heat island effect, drought tolerance, and heat tolerance. So the types of trees that we have in Carson, we evaluated them, our tree folks did, and it turns out that we have over 200 species within the city. We looked at each species and we evaluated to determine how frequently they should be trimmed. And so you can see here the number of trees based on the tree cycle, and most trees should be trimmed every 3 years. And then we also did a calculation in terms of the total number of trees in each of those categories. So again, in year 3, there's more trimming that's going to happen than in the other years. So this is a picture that illustrates the tree trimming maintenance cycles based on the cycle of tree trimming needed. And so you can kind of see that it's certain areas in the city have, like the purple in particular, it is on a 5-year cycle. So some places don't need as much trimming as frequently as other places in the city. So some of the current and future efforts that we have, currently we have an existing contract to trim trees, particularly related to safety. So it was brought to our attention that there were numerous trees that were covering signs or lights. Limbs were, in precarious situations. So the contractor we currently have is really focused on trimming those particular trees. Additional activities that we've done within Public Works is we have completed a tree well design that is larger than it was before. This is to allow for the tree to grow and the roots not to disturb the sidewalks like they have in other places where the tree well is super small. So we worked with our arborist and determined the size for that. And you may have seen that in certain areas where we've replaced the sidewalks. We have also worked on the tree wells, and that's only going to continue to expand as we go through the process to make sure that the tree wells are adequately designed and constructed. So earlier this spring, we were asked by both the House and the Senate in DC to give them some projects that in Public Works they thought we could do. They wanted them to be shovel ready. So we got calls from Barragan and Feinstein's office. And so we put in the max that we were told we could put in, which was $2 million for a tree grant. And we indicated that, we had all these empty tree wells throughout the city. So there's, I think, 5,600 some trees that we knew needed to be replaced. And I just texted Dave Roberts, our city manager, and my understanding is that we actually got this 2 million. So it's going to be coming to the city, and we're going to be able to fill a lot of tree wells with these with this grant and all the trees that we can buy with that. So we are currently creating a map of all these different tree wells throughout the city, so we can prioritize the location of the planting of the trees. And as I mentioned before, we'll select appropriately the trees, but then also the trees in the space and location throughout the city, so that there's some continuity in terms of type of trees. And so the look and feel when you go down a certain street is, so there's some kind of coordination and aesthetic views with that. So more to come, especially now that we got this grant, which we're really excited about. And the final thing is we do have a new request for proposals for trees coming out in the next few months. So expect more tree trimming and activities with the trees in the near future. And that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Comments, questions of Ms. Whitman? Great presentation, very informative.
Thank you.
18,000 trees, huh?
Yeah, isn't that a lot?
A lot of trees.
Calculate, it's like, wow.
Oh my God, okay, great.
And once again, to make it formal, do we just want to do a quick roll call vote to receive and file the presentation?
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to receive and file the presentation?
I have a question,
Oh, okay, go ahead, sir.
a question about the presentation. Could you go back to number 1 slide and take them one at a time? What is residential, arterial, and the third one I've forgotten? What is an arterial?
Oh, so that's kind of like the main streets or roads where you'll have commercial, industrial activity, like trucks, major
Okay,
streets.
you're talking about a roadway
Yes,
heavily trafficked by trucks.
correct.
Okay, so what's the other two? I don't know.
Oh,
I forgot what they were.
yeah, no,
Arterial,
that's
what's
fine.
the residential?
Yeah, so we trim residential trees. We trim trees in the
Let
arterials.
me ask, where is the residential?
Oh, we trim all residential trees. Is that what you mean?
Where are the residentials? There's none in front of my house.
Oh, would you like a tree?
I ask, where are the residentials? Is that the parkway, which is the area between the curb and the sidewalk?
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes. It's in our right of way where we
Yeah,
own the land.
anywhere that's your right of way, that's considered a residential zoning area.
Correct. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
not
so
in
that-
somebody's yard, sorry.
Okay, then that would be parkways, et cetera, that are residential area. So that's your right of way, and that's residential. Okay, so it would be kind of the same thing with heavy industrial area to be arterial. So what was the third category?
Medians.
Okay, that's between. Okay, what's if it on the side of a street? The median is the middle of the street between
Yes.
east and west. That's the
Yes.
median. Okay, what's on the side of the street? What's that?
That's the parkway.
Even if it's in front of a school or in front of a warehouse?
Correct.
Or if it's in front of a warehouse, it would then be arterial?
Probably.
Probably. Okay, and what's in the city parks?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. I should have added that bullet. We also trim trees in the parks.
In the city park, so that's the fourth category.
That's
Okay,
correct.
and is there any other categories that you haven't? Okay,
That's a
and
good question. I'm not sure. This is, in general, this is the response that I got from our tree trimming crews, like how they think of it, in terms of the major categories where they trim trees.
okay. So, and you have 5,000 vacancies that are one of those three categories that the city is responsible for maintaining that tree well. Is that my understanding? And the 2 million grant is going to fill all those 5,000 if we can afford it with the 2 million grant.
Well, no, we asked for, I think it was between 2,000 and 3,000. We mentioned in the grant that we thought we could plant between 2,500 and 3,000 trees with the $2 million.
With the 2 million, okay.
Right.
And you're planning to put them in places where there were trees, it's no longer there. Existing tree
Correct.
wells.
That's right. Where they're empty.
Where there's empties, you'd put them again in there. Okay, and so a position on, or my opinion on the types of trees. Okay, so we're in a climate change, serious climate change now we should be aware of. And what they're recommending is 1 tree per person per year, which there's 8 billion people in the world, that's 8 billion trees. If that's the city of Carson, that's 95,000 trees per year in the city of Carson. We aren't going to get there the way we're going. And if we want to slow down climate change and actually cancel the effects, we're going to have to do more than this 5,000 trees. I don't know if you're aware of climate change and what's going on, but temperatures are hot all over the country, all over the world. And that's due to the climate change, in my opinion, and in many other opinions. And trees are so with trees also, we should be looking at trees that are sequester the carbon. In other words, they pull in the carbon a lot more than they breathe out the oxygen. So they pull in carbon and spew out the oxygen at a higher level than other trees. So my suggestion is we do research on our 200 trees on the list, and that we tell residents that want to plant trees about these ones that are highest in sequestering. I call it sequestering. You know, that's going to get rid of more carbon than another tree. That's what we want. We want the trees that get rid of the carbon to help us with climate change. So that's the other thing. And I would like to see us, and this is not for this motion, but I would like to see us come up with some more funding, some more grants, and let's go plant a lot more trees.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Coombs. I have one question. Before.
And I'll cut it off there. I have a lot more I could say, but.
Thank you. Ms. Wood, in terms of watering of these trees, and I know that I don't, it's labor intensive, and I know we would have to have watering trucks, really. I mean, more trees. I mean, you're going to maintain them. They're going to grow and prosper. You're going to, how is that going to be accomplished?
So we do have watering trucks, and we do regular watering throughout the city. What we have found is that it's usually the trees that are, need to be established, where we need to water them more frequently, and the more established ones we don't need to water. So we primarily focus our watering activities on the newly planted trees.
Okay.
So I'd like to say something on that. Okay, so the latest technology you've heard of reclaimed. Those are the purple pipes that are running all along Carson Street to water the median there when the Carson Street was redeveloped, redone. With a higher amount of reclaimed water. Reclaimed water is sewer water, other water that cannot be reclaimed. It's been reclaimed, that's so the name. So I would like to see the city develop a plan to use more, as much as you can. You can use it for watering, you can use cooling towers, There's many uses. We could even use it watering our lawn. But, plants can, in fact, it's better because it still has, some of the organic materials that the lawn and trees require. It's usually better because it's not been purified totally to
Mr.
drink.
Coons, there may be some other,
So that's a suggestion also to you.
thank you. Are there any other comments? Motion to receive and file the presentation by Ms. Whitten, please. Need a motion?
I'm Roy Love. I
Thank
move
you.
that we receive and file the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hobson. All right, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
No,
Any abstentions? We're voting, sir. Oh, you said no, Mr. Coons? Okay, great. There's a no.
yes. I would like to see more be done. I would like to make
Sir,
another
sir.
motion as a matter of fact.
Sir, we're voting on this motion right now, okay?
Right.
Okay, Ms. Corey, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Lillian Hobson,
Yes.
Commissioner William Coons,
No,
and Commissioner Hurry Taylor,
Yes,
Commissioner Roy Love,
Aye.
Commissioner Brianna Fontano,
Yes.
alternate Sela Valampando.
Yes.
I have 5 yeses, 1 noes, and no abstentions.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Motion passes, receive and file the item, the update of the trees. Next item, commission, item number 9, I'm sorry. Commission members request to add items to future agendas. The list is attached about the items that we agreed upon several months ago. So we can use that as a guide. I'll give each commissioner 2 minutes to make a comment regarding adding additional items to the agenda.
Commissioner Chair,
Yes, ma'am. Ms.
Um,
Hobson?
is it possible for us to have Mr. Williams to come in at our next meeting to give us a presentation on West Basin?
Possible, yes.
Can we put that on the agenda to communicate with him to see if he's available?
No problem. Yes, ma'am.
I can reach out to him.
Can you please?
I can.
Do
Okay,
Chair
Harold
Taylor,
Williams,
I was just gonna say that,
we have general consensus to include that?
beg your pardon?
Do we have general consensus to include that?
Okay. Any opinions about asking Harold Williams from West Basin Water District to come in and make a presentation on water since it's so critical now? Anybody opposed to? We have general consensus then?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sounds great. Okay, anything else, Ms. Hobson?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, next. Ms. Fontenot, how about you? She's muted. Okay. Mr. Love, how about you, sir?
I'm just thinking this, when I was watching the news, there was something I didn't get the beginning, and maybe people here may know. Apparently there was some company here in Carson had some toxic, I think they're supposed to be
Parter
they're around
sterilization,
Fairview area. Yeah,
Parter sterilization services.
and I wanted to know the name of that company, and I was thinking, do we have a way of knowing, do we have an inventory of the number of businesses out in these areas that are handling toxic matters and items that perhaps the reason I'm saying this, I remember years ago, I did go down to and see it. What was that? That's when we had one of the, it wasn't Chill Oil, but one of the other ones. And I was surprised to find that when I went to the Air Quality Management and Control District, found that they had more than 200 violations, and I didn't know anything about it. So I'm just saying, is there any way that we could kind of routinely ourselves, perhaps we may designate 4 or 5 people at different times to at least see how much information we can get on some of the businesses that are handling contaminants that certainly, you know, we don't need to be surprised when they are not adhering to the standards, or when they're having, you know, real problems with it. So I'm just wondering at some point if we can, first of all, get an inventory of a number of, and we know in over the years we had Rainbow and a number of the other ones we've dealt with, just to know the kind of chemicals that they're handling that perhaps could result in a bad release loss in this area. Since we're you know, we had the other thing happening, and we don't want people to get the idea that, hey, this is the only kind of stuff that's happening in Carson. I just would like to get an inventory. Perhaps a group would have it, whether it's AQMD, or even if CARB has at least the ones, since they regulate this stuff, that companies who are handling materials, and then we would different times have different people just to try to see what's going on, whether they really are adhering to what the standards that they're supposed to be adhering to.
Dr. Filippondo, you mentioned about the name of this company is Partner Sterilization Service?
Parter, P-A-R-T-E-R, I believe. Sterilization.
Parter.
Parter.
What do they do?
Yeah.
They
medical?
they sterilize hospital equipment.
Okay.
They actually, I'll pass on what I've been told. Parter has been kind of on the radar for a little while. The CDC has lists that they put out, and Parter was named as one of the most dangerous businesses in the entire nation a while ago. So this has been kind of circulating around Carson for a little while already. In fact, this had come out a little bit after the time that we were dealing with the Dominguez Channel. I read the article, and basically it's saying that the AQMD is working with them to reduce these emissions, but it's not saying specifically what they're doing. And they did mention that the release of these gases from the sterilization process produces nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and ultimately cancer. And this is a business that's located well within 200 feet of an elementary school and residences out there. So I would like to find out what I don't know if the city has investigated. There was a statement by the mayor saying that they would be held accountable, but again, I think as a commission, we should know what's going on with that and kind of know how we can respond to residents who are concerned about this.
Okay, so group, I want to make sure this is not an item that's on the agenda, so we should not be going down the path of any type of discussions or deliberations about this issue at this point in time. If there's a general consensus that you want some sort of report back relating to this matter, and there's a consensus to do that, we can add that to the list for something to get a report back on. But we don't at this point in time want to go down a path of deliberations or discussions on this item.
Is there a consensus to have the staff bring some information back on this item?
Yes.
Because I had one more I wanted to ask about. I guess there's work being done in the carousel track. And I just kind of wanted to know, since it's been an issue for so many years, just a little slight update on what's happening with the carousel trip. Anyway. Is there, so we'll have consensus on 2 items though thus far. And anybody else will take another item
Uh,
for
yeah,
consideration.
Mr.
Maybe
Chair,
Mr. Marquez is the Coalition for Safe Environment. Is that going to be too much for one? I mean, too many presentations or for one meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
yes,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have information. I understand that the company that polluted the Dominguez Channel so severely, there was a $17 million fine levied against them. I'd like information on that. I know it's probably in a lawsuit. We don't want to do that like Lorna said, but I'd like some information. If not, there's a Daily Breeze article someone told me about, but I have not yet read it or found it. Could we have something on that? This $17 million fine from the, who gave the fine? I forgot. I don't know. It was probably the county,
Ms. Lehman,
but
who's, I mean, are we involved in litigation or is that the state and county? And the
I am
feds?
not involved in the Dominguez Channel litigation. As far as I know, it's a closed session item. It's a closed session issue. As far as I know, it is not something I've been personally involved with. If it is closed session discussions and items, then it may not be ripe for a discussion before this commission.
Okay, sounds great.
So actually, this particular item or fine does not have anything to do with the city. So this is not in our closed session. We actually are supporting the fine levied against the company as a city. But we do want to understand how they're actually going to do it. I know they're levying a fine, but to be determined, obviously, is if it'll get paid and all the lawsuits that'll have to go through to actually get the money. So, but we are glad that it's sending a message to companies in Carson that they're taking this contamination of the Dominguez Channel very seriously.
So Eliza Jane, to address Commissioner Kuhn's question, is there a staff member or some outside person who can give a presentation to the commission that would relate to the issue raised by Commissioner Coons? I just want to make sure we're not invading anything related to ongoing litigation or closed session.
No, that's a really good point. So nobody on staff. There is public comment, I think, by the regional board on this particular fine. So I think that goes until, I want to say September-ish, but I'm not exactly sure. So, this is something that's out in the public, and if anybody could give a presentation, it would be the regional board and their staff member, but we could follow up with them. I just don't know, how, I know they all work from home. So we could figure out, how and who, but I just don't know who that person is right now.
so if you can get a presentation, since it's not in closed session or whatever, that would be nice. If you can't, could you at least forward us the latest articles or the updates? I think there was an article in the Daily Breeze. I'll have to research where it is and give
Yeah,
it to
I've not seen that
Commissioner
article.
about the fine and the 17 million.
Have you, Rita or Jessica, seen that article?
I have not.
No, I haven't either.
You might find it on the Facebook page, the community page for public health concerns in Carson. I think someone posted it there.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
So,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
perhaps do we want to add, to the extent that staff can reach out to somebody who can talk about the issue raised by Commissioner Coons? Do we have a consensus that that's something that the group wants to hear, the commission wants to hear.
How does everybody feel? You
I'll say
wanna-
yes.
We have everybody else too. Any comments, any more concurrences? Anybody concur? Don't concur?
My concurrence is, I think as long as we're serving on the commission, we kind of need to have as much information as possible. And I'm gonna toss out a question out there as well. I don't know if anybody can answer it. I was told by a planning commissioner, and I'm not gonna go into who it was, but I was told at the point at which people were looking for the perpetrators of the Dominguez Channel contamination, that the planning commission had conducted their own research or some type of discussion where they combed through all of the possible businesses that were north of Carson that could possibly have been involved in the contamination of the channel. I don't know if that was a formal study or research that they did. Their conclusion at the time, according to this person, was that no businesses north of Carson were involved because they had already gone through the list of all the businesses upstream, so to speak. Obviously, that wasn't completely correct. So I'm just wondering, are any other entities within the city, like the Planning Commission, do they conduct studies on possible businesses that could impact Carson? I mean, or that would be involved in any type of pollution, contamination, whatever it might be?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And once again, I don't want to go down the path of having deliberations and discussions on an item that's not on the agenda. But if there's a general consensus that if staff is able to find somebody who can give you a report that is able to provide you with some of the information that you're seeking, then we just need a consensus to have that on a future agenda.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
How does everybody feel? So we're the city of Carson is not involved in the litigation. Am I correct? As you indicated.
As it relates to this particular fee, the city of Carson has been sued. So we are in litigation, but not for this, not relating to the regional board's fee
Fine.
or fine,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. All right, but the process hasn't been completed. Is that my
That is-
understanding?
That's correct.
And it's still in a process.
It is still in the process.
All right. So my question is, should we wait till the process is over? Which should make it easier for us to obtain information. Right? I certainly don't want to speculate on a newspaper article personally. How does everybody else feel?
I suggest that we wait.
I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait. Okay, any other comments regarding items for the agenda?
My only comment is it's going to be a long wait.
Well, it shouldn't be. I mean, it's a reasonable board. I mean, assessing a fine.
I agree with her. It will probably be a long wait because this company says they're not going to pay the fine. They're fighting it in court. If they appeal it and so forth, I look at 3 years.
Well, I don't know. Ms. Lehman, what do you think?
I have had no involvement in the Dominguez channel, so.
Lucky you.
At all. None of the litigation, none of the fines. I'm a complete outsider on this one.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm
Let's
just trying to
find-
get parliamentary procedure.
Let's find this article, this reported article that was in the press telegram. Maybe put it
Daily
in
Breeze.
tomorrow put it in the next meeting so we can read it and then make an evaluation. We can move from there.
It's in the Daily Breeze.
That's
I
what-
believe
that's
it's
what-
Daily Breeze.
Okay, let's just see. I mean, I like to know who the sources are, read it and make some determination. But anyway. Okay, last call, items for the agenda. Anybody else? So right now, we're looking at some information about Potter Sterilization Services and West Basin Water District. Presentation by Mr. Harold Williams. Anybody else? Is it going to be too much? Well, how long is Mr. Marquez's presentation? Usually about a half hour, if I remember correctly.
Is he going to present?
Yes, I guess, yes. I don't know how long it would be because
Taylor, we can reach out to Mr. Williams, and if he is available, we can put him on the agenda. If he's not available, we can reach out to Mr. Marquez.
sounds great. Sounds
We'll do
great.
we'll aim for one presentation.
One presentation. The only thing I'd like to add is like, I mean, how easy is it to get an update on the carousel track? I mean, 5-minute presentation, if possible.
Rita, do you know who's handling that?
Beg pardon?
Is that JR or in the planning department?
It would be planning and let me ask you this, Chair Taylor. Do you want an update on like what cluster they're working in?
Yeah, what cluster they're working in and
How long they're going to be
the
in
work
that
that's
cluster?
being done, yes.
Okay, we can reach out to the contractor,
Okay,
and we'll reach out to planning, and we'll see if
Okay.
we can get somebody to kind of give us a little update on that.
sounds great. Okay, getting back to, okay. Next item number, commission members oral communications. Item number 10. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Mr. Combs, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I thank everybody for the discussion tonight, and the presentation was good. I hoped I could get it in June, but that's the breaks, I guess. As far as me voting no on the trees, climate change is, as far as my book, right now, the #1 issue everywhere. Increased temperatures, pollution, not enough trees, not enough carbon sequestration by trees and other things, and too much carbon pollution going out there. So we need to push on safe electric, natural gas, hydrogen type transportation, wind turbines, solar power. We need to push on this for what we're doing. And we need to push on the other end to, right now we're logging worldwide more trees than we're replanting. So we need to at least equal what we're logging in planting. And then go beyond that to bring the earth back to its control of the carbon. And otherwise, we're going to not only see a hot summer this summer, we're going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. It's called climate change. And that's the fact. It's not subject to any more discussion by people that are doubting it, like Trump seemed to do that, and others. Climate change is here and it's here to stay, and we got to do something about it. And Carson, on its part, I would like to see us come up with a program where we had a grant, the city would manage it, and would give people to plant trees in their own property, not on city property. Let's say people don't have the money sometimes to afford putting in a tree or planting a tree or even buying a tree. So let's come up with a different program. Let's plant more trees, more carbon sequestered trees. And that'll be my talk for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hobson.
I have an announcement. Carson Citizen Cultural Arts Foundation, along with the mayor and Councilman Hicks, will be having a backpack giveaway on the 13th of August. at the Carson Mall. And that's August the 13th from 10 to 2.
Backpack giveaway, okay.
Mhm.
August 13th,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. Anything else?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hobson. What time will it be? I'm sorry.
From 10 to 2.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Ms. Hobson? Commissioner
That's it.
Valapondo? You're next, ma'am.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Love,
I say amen to Bill. Frankly, I think we've hit the areas. There's no question about it. And so I just want to thank everyone. I enjoyed the discussion.
thank you. One thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned we had a homicide in my neighborhood, but I think it was directly attributed to the fireworks, the illegal fireworks myself. So I couldn't even get home from the fireworks. But anyway, I had to take some different routes home. Again, of course, I'm always been an advocate of trying to, and I don't think this was a sanctioned block party, but I wish there was some way we could consider not allowing block parties on the 4th. And I don't think this was a sanctioned block party. Anyway, I just want to clarify that. I think that our homicide involved people who were attending this illegal fireworks show. Personally. Thank you very much. I don't have any further comments or questions.
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Yes,
Chair, I just, something just did occur to me. I just wanted to, well, in addition to telling everyone to stay safe, because I noticed the COVID numbers and now monkeypox is picking up in the area. But the other thing is coyote activity is up again. I have seen so many brokenhearted owners whose pets have been taken by the coyotes, but I guess I'm wondering, I don't know if this fits under environmental commission. I think it does, because I think the coyotes are wandering further down now because of the fires and everything else, looking for food. But I'm wondering if there's something else, not for the next meeting, but something that we could possibly come up with. It doesn't seem like it's enough for there to be a coyote page for sightings. If there couldn't be some other type of efforts from the city's part to talk to or alert pet owners, I have to tell you, as a pet lover and owner, I have seen so many half-consumed animals in the neighborhood. It's really heartbreaking. So I'm just putting that out, not for the next meeting or anything, but if there's possibly something we could come up with. Some people just don't seem to be getting the messages, and it's just heartbreaking seeing so many little animals be taken or eaten.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, as I was just getting ready to say, the next meeting is September the 7th. No, Ms. Fano, I'm sorry. Do you have any comments?
No, I don't, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, I don't have anything else. Staff, I'm sorry, staff, oral communications.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ms. Whitman,
I'm good, thank you.
Attorney Lane.
None for me. I will note for Commissioner Villapando's point about coyotes, a great resource for neighborhoods is there's neighborhood applications that you can use for neighborhood communications that report things like coyote sightings. I've seen it. I've had the same problem arise in my neighborhood. I'll just put that out there. But otherwise, no, nothing official, no official report from me.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Great meeting. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Unless some additional information.
I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Hobson and Dr. Villapando. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I know there's no objections, but thank you very much. Have a great rest of the week. Be safe,
You too.
stay cool,
Thank
Thank you.
you.
all right, and take care of yourselves.
Okay,
please.
good night.
Bye-bye.